pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Person.
Here.
Ms. Switchy. Mr. McIrvin.
Here.
Ms. Perez.
Here.
Mr. Pavoni.
Here.
Mr. Corman.
Here.
Mr. Prince.
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, one absent.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move Councilman Witchy be excused.
Second. It's been moved by Mr. Person, second by Mr. Pavoni, that Councilmember Witchy be excused. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, moving on to, we have two proclamations this evening.
Okay, proclamation, Do Something Good for Your Neighbor Day. Whereas Do Something Good for Your Neighbor Day is a nationwide effort observed in hundreds of cities across the United States to celebrate spreading neighborly love to all humanity. And whereas the vision of Do Something Good for Your Neighbor Day is to encourage millions of Americans across the nation to spread acts of kindness, compassion, and caring. And whereas founder Star Valentino began with handing out gift cards and T-shirts, giving his time and talents to the community, and setting an example, now we are celebrating the 10th anniversary. And whereas Do Something Good for Your Neighbor Day was first declared in 2009 in Atlanta, Georgia, with the purpose of spreading random acts of kindness through a grassroots movement. And whereas the city of Renton encourages residents of all ages, cultures, religions, and economic backgrounds to participate in acts of kindness throughout all its neighborhoods. Now, therefore, I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim May 16th, 2019 to be Do Something Good for Your Neighbor Day in the City of Renton, and I encourage all members of the community to join me in the special observation. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this 13th day of May, 2019, signed Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move the proclamation be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, second by Mr. Pavoni, that this proclamation be adopted as read. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And I understand Mr. Valentino is here to accept this proclamation.
You hear? Did he?
Guess not, we'll make sure he gets it.
Okay. We'll make sure. All right, the second proclamation is Affordable Housing Week. Whereas all people should have access to safe, healthy, and affordable homes within communities of opportunity, and whereas studies have found that each $100 increase in median rent results in a 15% increase in homelessness in metro areas and a 39% increase in nearby suburbs and rural areas, and whereas the most recent point-in-time count found 160 people in our community sleeping outdoors without shelter, and 5,609 families are considered housing insecure because they are spending more than half of their income on rent and utilities. And whereas there were 573 students identified as homeless during the 2016-17 school year by the Renton School District, and whereas everyone benefits from affordable housing, including the people who reside in these properties, their neighbors, businesses, employers, and the community as a whole, and whereas the Association of Washington Cities determined that enhancing efforts to increase affordable housing, decrease homelessness, and improve a strained behavioral health system was a critical priority for the 2019 legislative session. And whereas communities throughout King County are participating in local Affordable Housing Week efforts to inform the public of the critical need to preserve and increase affordable housing in our communities. And whereas the City of Renton endorses the goals, objectives, and purposes of Affordable Housing Week, and in doing so recommits itself to ensuring that our community thrives with opportunity and that all people in it live with dignity in safe, healthy, and affordable homes. Now therefore, I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim May 13th through 17th, 2019 to be Affordable Housing Week in the City of Renton. And I encourage all citizens to join me in the special observance. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed this 13th day of May, 2019, signed Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. McGurven.
I move that the proclamation be adopted as read.
Second.
Moved by Mr. McGurven, second by Mr. Pavoni, that this proclamation be adopted as read. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Does that sound better? The ayes have it. Is Anna Bonilla here?
Boy, we're striking out.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get that to the Housing Development Consortium of Seattle and King County. Moving on to administrative report, Mr. Harrington. Harrison. How about Bob?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I have 2 items to report to you this evening. The first is an invitation to come and meet Renton police officers at Coffee with a Cop. The mission is to break down barriers between police officers and the citizens they serve by removing agendas and allowing opportunities to ask questions, voice concerns, and get to know your officers in your neighborhood. The next Coffee with a Cop is scheduled to take place on Saturday, May 18th, from 10 a.m. to noon at Everest Tea and Coffee House at 200 Southwest 43rd Street in Renton. The last item I'm reporting to you this evening is your opportunity to visit the Renton Senior Activity Center for Newcomers Hour on May 17th at 10 a.m. You can meet in the lobby for a free tour where you'll meet the staff and learn about programs and activities available at the Senior Center. You can visit rentonwa.gov/RSAC, rentonwa.gov/RSAC for more information. The Renton Senior Activity Center is located at 211 Burnett Avenue North. That's all this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Okay, moving on to audience comments. We have one person signed up to address the council. When I call your name, please come to the podium, give your name and city of residence for the record, and you have 5 minutes. Robert Steele.
I was here last week, and I want to make this a little quicker, but this is concerning the asphalt plant in the Cedar River. And I don't think I mentioned something that was really important, is that this permit is probably going to be issued the first part of June. And so you don't have much time if you want to respond to it. I did bring some information here that shows basically an mailing address. This shows that it actually has expired, the time has expired for you to be able to respond, although they are saying that they are going to take comments up until they issue this permit. So you still have time, but probably very limited time. I think last time I asked that you'd consider writing them a note and asking them for an environmental impact study, that and that they'd have nothing to hide if there's nothing that, and let me see. The Muckleshoots have actually requested an EIS on this, and still they're telling us it's going to go through anyway. So I think even if you issue a request for an EIS, you'll be on record to where you can at least say, well, we told you so. Because I think as the years go by, we're going to start seeing a lot of problems. There's going to be a lot of smell in that area when people drive through it. The salmon are not going to be increasing in numbers, and if they are, they're going to be mutated with the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. But I told you this was going to be shorter, and I'm dragging it out. I don't mean to do that. There is a letter here that Dow Constantine wrote to the federal government, a really well-written letter. And it has to do with 4 issues concerning the Endangered Species Act. He's concerned that they're gutting the act. And one of the issues that he's brought up here is the precautionary effect, or the precautionary approach. And and I'll just read a little bit of that so you know what this is all about. You don't have to search for it. It says the precautionary principle is a bedrock foundation of conservation science. And it states in part that when faced with imperfect information, we need to err on the side of caution. That's all I'm going to read about that. There's a lot in here. It's really well written. I brought only 3 copies of this. I was talking to Jason. He said I should have brought one for each one of you. But you're welcome to have that. Look over it. You've got to make your own decisions. But I think as a council, if you guys could come together and say we should send him a little note, say, we're just requesting an EIS, that it would do a lot of good. So, yeah, so do the right thing. Yeah, so I've already gone over this. I urge you to take a precautionary approach. You'll feel a lot better about it. You will know you've done the right thing. This is your river. So take care of your river, folks. Protect your investments. I'm going to leave these here with you guys, and you only have a short time.
Make sure they get a copy.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, we have 5 items for council consideration. Any items that council member want pulled for discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Perez.
I would like to pull item 6E.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
move the consent agenda be approved minus item 6E.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, second by Mr. Prince, that council concur with the consent agenda minus item E. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ms. Perez.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the council concur with the Renton Utility Project change order number 6 to CAG 17/174 for roadway restoration.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Perez, seconded by Mr. Corman, that item E of the consent agenda be approved this evening. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business, Mr. Person.
No unfinished business?
Okay, Mr. McGurven.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Perez.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pavoni.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Corman.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, well, then moving on, oh, Mr. Prince.
Well, guess who won the pony? The Plan Development Committee has a committee report.
All right, Planning and Development Committee report, appointment to Benson Hill Community Plan Advisory Board. The Planning and Development Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to confirm Mayor Law's appointment of Mr. Sean Conway to the Benson Hill Community Plan Advisory Board with a term expiring May 1st, 2024. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince.
I move that the council concur in the Planning and Development committee report.
Second?
It's been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Ms. Perez, that council concur with the Planning and Development Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, moving on. Well, we have no legislation this evening. Gosh, Jason, that breaks your heart, right? We'll move on to new business. Mr. Person.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I can get my date right here. Thought I had it. The committee of the whole will meet next Monday, May 20th at 5:30 PM in the conferencing center. And there's 4 topics: community services, bond-funded projects update, which is a continuation, recreation and neighborhood division updates, park and trail division updates, and a Boeing Apron R update. And also one other issue of new business, Mr. Mayor, the council received a couple emails from North Renton over the weekend that were being very critical of the actions of the city. So I would like to refer those emails to the administration to answer. And I'm going to say ahead of time, is I don't like the tone of the email. It could have been accomplished in a lot either way. It's okay to disagree, but not to call and pick on staff, which is very honest, works hard to do the right thing, and it may be those people's opinion, but I think I've heard from other community members that have a divergent opinion, so it would be interesting to get all the facts back to the council.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Person, second by Mr. Prince, that council refer emails that they received regarding criticism from North Renton to the administration to respond. Any additional comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McGurven.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Transportation Committee will be meeting on Monday, May 20th in the council conference room at 2:30 PM. There's 2 items on the agenda. 20-mile-per-hour speed limits in neighborhoods, and emerging issues in transportation, specifically TIP schedule and priorities discussion, and wind catcher art claim. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Perez?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Utilities Committee will be meeting in the council conference room on Monday, May 20th at 3:30, and there are 4 items in the agenda: LHWMP Projects Agreement, Waste Reduction and Recycling Grant Agreement, Park Avenue Water Line Extension Cost Sharing, and Emerging Issues in Utilities Committee. Utilities Committee. That will be it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pavoni?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to announce the Finance Committee will be meeting Monday, May 20th at 4:30 in the council conference room. We have 7 items on the agenda. The first is utility leak adjustment. The name is Gamble. Community Services Department fee waiver request. Willowcrest Townhome Grant Award. The Fresh Bucks Agreement Amendment. TIB Complete Streets Grant. Vouchers and emerging issues in finance. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Corman?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and Mr. Prince?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so wish of the council?
Move we
Thank
adjourn.
you.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Prince, second by Mr. Corman, that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.